Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Spanish tragedy, and we get to hear from Balthazar today in Act 2, Scene 1. Now, Balthazar was taken captive in the Spanish-Portuguese War, and he's been staying at Lorenzo's place because they don't really want to put him in prison. He is a prince and all that sort of stuff. But he's been staying at Lorenzo's. Lorenzo happens to be the brother of Bellimperia. Balthazar now has a thing for Bellimperia. Bellimperia does not have a thing for Balthazar, very much does not have a thing for him. She has decided that she's going to love Horatio, specifically to spite Balthazar, because Balthazar is the one who killed Don Andrea, who Bellimperia was in love with. So after he confesses his love to her and she basically spurns him, Lorenzo steps in and is like, no, I can fix this, and calls over Pedringano, who is one of Bellimperia's servants, calls him over and is like, hey, you're her servant, who does she love? And he admits that she loves Horatio, which Balthazar is very upset about, but they're like, okay, we want you to spy on them. Tell us everything that you know. If they're going to meet, give us a heads up so that we can be there wherever it is that they're going to meet each other, all that sort of thing. And Lorenzo promises that Pedringano will be like a made man if he does all of this. So of course he agrees, and they send him off. And Lorenzo then turns to Balthazar and says, so what do you think of my plan to fix all of this? And Balthazar says, both well and ill. It makes me glad and sad. Glad that I know the hinderer of my love. Sad that I fear she hates me, whom I love. Glad that I know on whom to be revenged. Sad that she'll fly me if I take revenge. Yet I must take revenge, or die myself, for love resisted grows impatient. I think Horatio will be my destined plague. First, in his hand he brandished a sword, and with that sword he fiercely waged a war. And in that war he gave me dangerous wounds, and by those wounds he forced me to yield, and by my yielding I became his slave. Now in his mouth he carries pleasing words, which pleasing words do harbor sweet conceits, which sweet conceits are limed with sly deceits, which sly deceits smooth Bellimperia's ears, and through her ears dive down into her heart, and in her heart set him where I should stand. Thus hath he taken my body by his force, and now by sleight would captivate my soul. But in his fall, I'll tempt the destinies and either lose my life or win my love. So Balthazar he's sort of talking this out, but also getting himself worked up about the whole situation. And I think it's interesting that he has a couple of building lists in this monologue, and he also has this is a reason why this is good and this is a reason why this is bad, because he did that same thing earlier in the scene when he was talking about, well, maybe she could love me for this, no, but she won't because of that. So he seems like the sort that likes to look at things from many different perspectives and perhaps try to attack them logically, but in his logic he gets very emotional about it. So he's kind of an interesting character to me. Anyway, but yeah, at the beginning, he's like, okay, at least I know who I have to hate now. That's Horatio. And these are my reasons why I can hate Horatio. He's one of the ones, it's his fault that I got captured, and now I have to live here in these circumstances. And he's saying all of these things to her, but doesn't necessarily really mean them, but they're sweet things, so she's believing them, and she's falling in love with him, but she should be falling in love with me, so this is all Horatio's fault, is what he comes to. And he gets nice and worked up, and Lorenzo is like, hang on, calm down, we got to get out of here before things get too crazy, but yeah, we'll get this all taken care of, and you'll end up with Bellimperia. And that's the end of Act 2, Scene 1. So, fun stuff, plots, love triangles, pretty typical stuff for a play of this particular period, whether or not it's Shakespearean, which this one probably isn't, but that's okay. We don't know what part he wrote or didn't write. But yeah, that's the end of Act 2, Scene 1, and we got to figure out where all of this is going to go. And keep in mind, we still have Don Andrea the ghost of Don Andrea and the personification of revenge watching all of this, because ultimately Don Andrea wants his revenge against Balthazar. So we've got revenge plots going in so many different directions and different heartstrings to be pulled and blah blah blah. Lots of fun stuff to still get through before we get to the end of this play. So come on back tomorrow and we'll dig in a little deeper. I'll see you then for more. Mwah.